Merch, we finally did it, dude. We're ready to go. We're ready to launch. I just need to figure out who to be. Yeah, let's go through the character select. No. What do you think about this one? Merch, who are we, man? Who am I? I just feel like I didn't have a say in the matter, man. I didn't choose my name, I didn't choose where I was born, I didn't choose anything, dude. It's easy for you to say, man. Yeah, it just feels like there's so much context. Identity. Identity is something we all get the opportunity to create. We are not the context. We are not our circumstances. We are not our height, our weight, our race, our name, where we're born. We are the response to that. So you're saying it doesn't matter where I'm born or what my name is or what my race is or how much money I have. Who I am is the response to that. So you're telling me I can just change every day? What about like my friends, you know? People expect you to be a certain way. Well, they should expect me to be different. Okay. You know, for this video, I really tried to figure out, like, how do you answer the question, who are you? Other than just like listing things that you do or accomplishments you've had. Very rarely do we get to articulate the things beyond, you know, what's given to us. The things that come from within, our spirit, our soul. That no matter what, you just need some help if you're down on your luck? Or are you an example that despite how unfair it was, we can find a way? Whether or not that's how it should be, that's how it is. It just feels like there's so much context. You're right, though. You're right. We are the response to that context. The harder your context is, it's almost like the cooler of a story you get to write. You know? Like if you start the book and you just have everything unlocked, then it's like it's not a very interesting book. But it's almost like the harder the situation is, the more of an opportunity there is to write your life as a superhero, you know, to be the type of thing that we see and feel inspired. What if the real me is not even, you know, what if he doesn't even speak English, right?
如果佢係中國人嘅話呢？而家發俾我嗰個你知我有嘅信息，我嘅老闆，我相信你一直都等緊。當所有説話都阻住晒嘅時候，當所有説話都唔需要講嘅時候，你可唔可以俾我做到過？
Who am I, Merch? Am I like the person that I think I am in my head? Or, you know, I feel like to everyone, I'm just a collection of memories. And I try my best to make it a good collection of memories, but sometimes I just feel like I have to deal with the projection of other people's traumas. Trauma plays such a big role in who people are. So many conversations and so many disagreements are literally just the childhood trauma, you know, people's insecurities projecting at each other. And there's no point of the conversation really, because there's not even an effort to understand. It's just an effort to defend and reaffirm the framework of understanding that we have, that makes up our mind. If somebody challenges our ideas and we see ourselves getting defensive, it can just feel so difficult, bro. We should just be blue,
red.
blue,
Red.
blue,
Red,
blue,
red, blue,
blue, blue,
red,
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 blue,
red.
blue. feel like the biggest hurdle right now, the biggest thing stopping people is fear of an attack on that framework that we've built to navigate the world and survive. Nah. No. Nope. Nah, dude. In order to understand someone else's intention, we're very quick to classify them into a good or bad character. We're very quick to try to put people into boxes in order to easily understand who they are. But we're very complex people. What do you mean I should just be myself? I don't know who that is, man. What are you talking about, dude? You're looking at him right now. I don't know who that is. Are you seriously taking his side in this, dude? Stay out of this, man. I've had enough. Stop telling me to be myself. I don't know who that is, Merch. I'm trying to figure it out, man. Okay? I've been buying as many things as possible to answer that question. It's not working. We gotta try love. The place where our light is needed the most is where it's already dark. And I think it's very important to show grace with the people that we disagree with. Don't necessarily see them as someone who is against you, rather someone who is seeing things from a different perspective, and there's an opportunity there for resolve. There's an opportunity to recognize that we have mutual goals, we have mutual... At the end of the day, everyone just wants a healthy, happy life, you know? So many people, like, just pick up the most obvious ideas and then hold them and defend them as if they're, like, something they invented and need to, like, protect and need to bring into the world. You know, why are we, like, why are we not actively working towards building new concepts and interrogating and learning from all the old ones with a mutual understanding that things can always learn from and grow? Like, we need less red, we need more blue.
No, everything is blue. There's a way over-representation of blue.
You don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Well, why do you think that is,
dude,
huh?
Everyone knows red is the bad side. I don't know why you think this way. Star Wars, red lights, stop signs. You're trying to stop me. This anti-red rhetoric. We have water, we have the sky, we have Red by Taylor Swift. That proves my point further, okay? You need each other, and to think that everyone we rely on and everyone in our community is going to think the same way we do is incorrect. And we need to keep in mind that so many of the ideas and opinions that we hold close to our identity are potentially unoriginal and not actually how we feel, but more so how we're told to feel in a way that reaffirms identity, in a way that's comfortable, in a way that is simple and lower resolution. But the best thing about us is our individual experiences and our individual differences coming together to formulate the future, formulate better understanding. I hate that idea, like, oh, you changed up or you switched up your opinion, you know, you flip-flopped your idea. It's like, why would you just keep the same opinion? Like, let's say you get information and it proves your previous idea wrong, you know? Shouldn't you change your opinion? Or should you just defend the wrong position? You know, it's like, oh, well, you know, you climb that hill, you gotta die on it. It's like, shouldn't we get people off that hill if it's the wrong hill? why make them die on it? Because it's wrong? So it's like, are we advocating they deserve to die because they thought the wrong thing? It's like, dude, we just show up here as babies and we're like, yo, where's the food? And they're like, here's a social security number, and you're like, what's a number? This one? Yeah, but maybe that could be like our thing, you know? You're right. And I feel like my biggest superpower was being able to see the best in everybody, because there's so many people and so much valuable information, and it's so easy to like critique the person, you know, rather than adopt the idea. You're a terrible person.
You guys are terrible people.
You're guys. What are you talking about, dude? What do you even believe in, man?
Blue, dude.
No,
more
dude,
blue.
it's more
red.
blue.
What does that mean?
Red.
Blue.
Red. Blue. 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 Blue.
This anti-red rhetoric.
Blue.
It's not even worth defending my position.
Guys, I've told you a million times, I'm not picking a side. I met with someone to propose a business idea, and he was telling me about, in the West, we use the black hat, the critical cap. You know, we see things through the lens of critique, and we're very quick to hear an idea and simply point out all of the reasons it doesn't work. And this person in Japan came up with this school of thought where it's actually a matter of, this is a mindset that basically provides a framework for engaging with new ideas, and it identifies different schools of thinking. So the first one is the white hat, and the white hat is about putting everything on the table, not thinking about anything other than what is everything that relates to this idea, what is anything that can be helpful, giving yourself as much information, data, reference as possible as a starting point to engage with an idea. From there, we put on the blue hat. The blue hat does not tell you to think about what's on the table. It tells you to think about how you're gonna think about what's on the table. So before you engage with all the information and data you collected, think about how do you want to approach it? What are ways you could engage with it? What are things you're looking to achieve? And then comes the green hat. Now we begin to think about all of the possibilities. What is every possible way this could manifest? You know, thinking as big as possible with no thought of limitation, you know, really trying to understand what the maximum potential is of the thing you're trying to deal with. All of the best things that can come of this. And then from there, we put on the red hat. Now that we understand what we're dealing with, how we're dealing with it, and what we think it can be, do you have a positive gut feeling about it? Does it seem achievable, and is it still exciting? Then comes the yellow hat, maturing the initial ideas of the potential into answers and solutions, the ways that this interacts with the world around it. How can this idea come to fruition in the most beneficial way? And only after all of those steps do we finally arrive at the black hat, critical thinking. So I think one of the reasons that dealing with critical thinking last is so crucial is because if you start critiquing when everything gets put on the table, you might not even end up with anything on the table. If you start critiquing the new idea as your immediate interaction with it, as the immediate way to engage with it, then you might not even be able to paint the full picture. You might not even be able to actually understand what's on the table, and the relationships between the different things on the table. The creator of this method would suggest that in the West, people are very quick to be critically thinking about new ideas before allowing themselves to actually build an understanding of the idea in the first place. We need to look at things for what they can be, what they could be. You know, how can this benefit us? And when we can see all that light in it, then it makes sense to critique it. But if we jump straight to the gun of critique, we do it in a way to write off the ideas of other people. It almost feels like
the best thing that we have to offer is what makes us unique and what makes us original. And rather than critique, we should try to solve. We are the world. You, the person watching this right now, no matter what situation you're in, no matter if you're bad at everything you've tried so far, there's a reason that you're here. There's a purpose inside of all of us that is much greater than we can ever imagine.
why don't you just be yourself? Because I don't know who that is. Just feels like the entire thing is set up for people to fall into like very obvious, very standard, stereotypes, and we're so much more than that. And I've been thinking a lot about, when you ask someone, who are you? So often they answer with like their job or like a skill set. But the value of us as people is way more than that. If you think about the things you really care about and the reason why you go to work, that's way more important to you. And man, when we're kids, you can wake up one day and say, I want to paint, and I want to play football. Next day, I want to go to space, and then the next day, I want to make a movie. And at a certain point, they take that next day away, and it's like you have to check a box on who to be. When you're 18, it's like pick a degree, pick a major, and that's the path for the rest of your life. You're gonna get that on a piece of paper and then apply for jobs within that field. And where you live and how much money you make and your schedule, your travel schedule, your time, your life is decided by that one decision. And it leads you down a train, a path, that feels like it's impossible to get off of. But we can't just jump off at any point. We really can't. But sometimes the faster it's going, the more of an impact we're gonna take when we jump off. I think it's very dangerous for people to see their value as a human being as something that's directly tied to, how much money they can make or how good they are at their job. Like, what is a job, man? I just wanna be someone. We have to see within ourselves the ability to actualize things, see within ourselves that when we feel something is wrong with the world, it's a calling to change it, to propose a solution. And it's hard, but every time the good fight, the person who wants the good thing to happen gives up, that's how the evil wins, because they're working hard, man. They are working hard. And that's one of the problems with this whole structure, is that the people seemingly who are attracted to power are oftentimes the most corrupt and the most tyrannical. And I imagine we do have these incredible people, and they probably are just turned off or detached from the idea that they need to go fight that fight, but there is a life worth living in it. There is an exciting life. There's thrill, the emotions that we feel in movies when the main character, does that thing where he breaks from the script of being a stereotype. We can do that in our own lives. And it isn't a matter of, crashing out. You have to actually be more disciplined and more focused and more motivated. But the idea that I'm seeing is that, like I said, if you really feel something, take that calling and use that as power. Transmutation of energy it's magic. We can literally turn things into reality that spawn inside of our mind, like a dream world that we're in. And we are dealing with and living with thousands of years of, human collaboration. And we absolutely need to realize that we are part of that. We are on that team. No matter how it seems, no matter how it feels, we, everyone, you, everyone watching this, me, you, we all have the ability, within us to be a catalyst for change, be a catalyst to inspire. And the more that we work towards that, the more exponential it gets, the more it compounds, the more accepted it becomes, and the more the value of it will prove itself to be real.
The responsibility that we have with our time. And we need to be accountable, honest, and truthful about the inputs you are putting into the world and how they relate to the outputs in which we receive. How are we responding to the context that we're given? Because running away from the context,
some of the first people to live in this level of constructed reality. It's different than anything of the past because it isn't censorship. It's abundance of information. It's drowning us in information. Censoring doesn't matter anymore. It's just drown it, flood the zone. And, we are being completely drowned out in stimulus, information. And it's so new, we've, maybe yet to connect the dots that there will always be interesting things. But how can we, do the math, make the diet, look at the nutrition of these things that we're consuming? I believe that any beauty, any sort of attraction that we have to the world, it is innate, it is instinctual, and it fundamentally can be harmonious with the earth. And when we're seeing, our stimuli, our dopamine fulfilled by artificial and non-real stimuli, I do think it has an effect. I think like gambling, it's such a non-coherent framework. It's teaching your brain that things are just random, and whatever you put in, at the end of the day, it's out of your control. And it is in your control, and that gambling, I feel like, is such a dangerous framework to allow into your brain. And we take risk every day, but we got to believe in ourselves and bet on ourselves, because that's the only thing we have control in. To bet on things outside of our control and just leave it up to chance, it's, I'm not here to judge that, but it's more so we got to be aware how that affects our brain's understanding of the reward system, of dopamine, of effort in relation to reward. And we it's so beautiful how we're programmed, like exerting maximum effort, you just feel great after, you do feel better. It's scientifically proven. And it's so funny, like when it's really cold out, you might be like, oh man, I have to like go outside and walk to my car, it's gonna be freezing. But then when you like actually embrace it and go out and hike, you're like, wow, it is beautiful out here, and I've learned so much about learning myself has to do with unlearning everybody else. I thought about it, and it's like, I don't think we really care about other people's opinions. We only care about them if they affect our opinion of ourselves. Because if some homeless person calls you up, some homeless person chirps you from the side of the road saying, you're an idiot, you're not really gonna be like, oh man, I'm an idiot. But if someone you really respect and love and care about says you're an idiot, well then now you're gonna question if they're right, because you agreed with their worldview in other places, and that's what we fear. It's not other people's opinions of us. It's how that affects our opinion of ourselves. So our perception of ourself is holding us into positions where we're trying to be some ideal that just doesn't exist. So much of our conception of what's ideal is just based in insecurity. Because life is ideal right now. We're alive. And no matter what negative energy, negative news, or, pessimistic viewpoints you may come across, no, nope, nah, dude, no way. This one's close. This one kind of reminds me of myself. Wait a second.
If you feel like, might as well. If you feel like it, pop up tonight and down. Up on the man, up for something new, I am making all